Your mid-Lent slump is not a faith problem. It is a brain problem. And there is a 60-second fix. If your Lenten practice started strong and then quietly faded, this episode will show you exactly why that happened and give you a research-backed reset you can use today. Here is something you can use right now before we go any further. Researchers at the University of Chicago found what they call the stuck in the middle effect. Motivation is naturally highest at the start of a goal and near the finish line, and it dips in the center. This was published in Psychological Science. So if you are in the middle of Lent and your commitment is fading, that is not a character flaw. That is a predictable pattern in how every human brain processes a goal. The middle is supposed to be hard. Now you know why. I'm Coach Janet J. This is your next best step. And later in this episode, I'm going to share a Hebrew word that completely reframes what it means to start over. And it's only 3 letters long. Hosea 6:1 says, "Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, and he will heal us. He has injured us, and he will bind up our wounds." The first word is an invitation. Come. It does not perform. It does not prove yourself. It is come. And the next phrase is just as important. Let us return. That word assumes you have been somewhere else. It assumes distance, and it still says, come back. The Hebrew word for return here is shuv, and it does not mean start over from scratch. It means turn around. You are not going back to the beginning. You are simply facing a different direction. One turn. That is it. So we already know the middle is where motivation dips. Here is the second piece of research, and this one is encouraging. A landmark study by Dye, Milkman, and Reese at the University of Pennsylvania, published in Management Science in 2014, found what they called the fresh start effect. When people encounter a meaningful marker in time, a new week, a new month, or even a personally chosen reset point, motivation for goal pursuit increases significantly. In their data, gym attendance went up by 33% at the start of a new week. The key insight? These landmarks create a psychological separation between your past self and your present self. Your brain essentially gets permission to say, that was before, this is now. And here is what matters most. You do not have to wait for a calendar event. You can create your own temporal landmark right now, today. I will show you exactly how in a few minutes. Now, the second struggle, the one that is harder to talk about, what happens when you are showing up for Lent and God feels quiet? Or when doubt gets louder than faith? Mark 9:2 gives us one of the most honest prayers in all of Scripture. I do believe, help my unbelief. That sentence holds faith and doubt at the same time, and it does not apologize for either one. Research on religious and spiritual struggle confirms something important here. A meta-analysis by Bockrath and colleagues, published in 2021, examined 32 longitudinal studies and found that spiritual struggles, including doubt, are consistently associated with increased psychological distress. That is real. Yet, other research by Zartska and colleagues has found that when people engage in active meaning-making during spiritual struggle, when they name it, bring it to God, and stay connected, the outcome can bend toward growth rather than decline. Meaning-making is the variable that changes the trajectory. So doubt during Lent is not a sign that your faith is failing. It may be a sign that your faith is wrestling with something real, and wrestling is honest work. All right, here's where we move forward. The tool for today is something I am calling the Mid-Lent micro reset. It is built on one of the most validated behavior change strategies in psychology: implementation intentions. A meta-analysis by Gottweiser and Sheeran analyzed 94 independent studies and found that when people created a specific if-then plan, if this situation happens, then I will do this, the effect on goal attainment was medium to large. Here's why that works. An if-then plan takes a vague intention, I want to pray more during Lent, and turns it into a concrete trigger response pair that your brain can automate. You are not relying on willpower or remembering. You are attaching your practice to something that already happens in your day. Here's how to build yours in 2 parts. Choose your minimum. Pick the smallest version of your Lenten practice that still feels meaningful. 60 seconds counts. 1 breath prayer. Lord, I'm here. 1 verse. Read it. Do not study it. Just let it land. 1 minute of silence before you start your car. 1 sentence of gratitude written on a sticky note. Part 2. Attach it to an if-then plan. If I set my phone on the nightstand, then I will whisper, "Thank you for today." If I buckle my seatbelt, then I will say 1 sentence to God before I drive. If I open the fridge to start dinner, then I will read 1 verse on my phone first. Your brain does not respond well to "I should pray more." Your brain responds to "when this happens, I do this." Now, let us use the fresh start effect on purpose. You are going to choose a personal temporal landmark for the rest of Lent. Pick one. Tonight after dinner, tomorrow morning when your feet hit the floor, this coming Sunday as your weekly reset. And when that moment arrives, say this out loud if you can. From this point, my minimum is blank. You are not rebuilding a perfect plan. You are making 1 small turn back toward God. And here is one more thing that makes this stick. Whatever your if trigger is, buckling your seatbelt, opening the fridge, setting your phone down, picture that moment in your mind right now. See yourself in that spot. And then say your then response out loud, just once. If I, your trigger, then I, your practice. You just rehearsed it. Research shows that 1 meaningful mental rehearsal of an if-then plan strengthens the connection your brain makes between the cue and the response. So when that moment shows up later today, and it will, your brain will already know what to do. Let me bring this together. 3 things to hold on to from today. 1, the middle is supposed to be hard. Research confirms your motivation naturally dips at the midpoint of any goal. That is a brain pattern, not a faith failure. 2, doubt and faith can exist in the same sentence. I believe. Please help my unbelief is one of the most honest prayers you can offer. Naming the struggle is part of the growth. 3, you do not need a new plan. You need a 60-second minimum, an if-then trigger, and 1 small turn back toward God. Shuv, turn around. You are not starting over. You are simply facing a different direction. If this helped, please share it with someone who might need a mid-Lent restart this week. And if you have not already, grab the free 5-minute daily reset at yournextbeststep.com. It pairs perfectly with the micro reset you just built. If doubt is part of your mid-Lent experience, add 1 honest sentence to God today. It can be as simple as, "I am still here. Help me stay." I will see you again on Friday.